All right, let's jump into this. Hi, it's Zarek from Real Chiropractic Dynamics, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. What I've done here is I've got an associate, someone that worked as an associate straight out of school. I've got someone that started her own business, her own practice straight out of school, and I've got Samuel here who was a locum straight out of school. And we're going to compare and share some different thoughts and get different perspectives, and hopefully it helps some people decide what they want to do when they leave school. So guys, let's take a couple of minutes and we'll just go around and you can introduce yourselves and share a little bit about your experience, and then we'll jump into some questions. Off you go, Alessandro.
So hi everyone, my name is Alessandro Conte. I'm a chiropractor from Italy, although I live in Barcelona, Spain, and that's where I practice. I graduated almost 3 years ago. Yeah, almost 3 years ago, and I decided to move to Holland first, and I worked there as an associate. And the reason why I went there because after 5 years in Barcelona, I wanted to have a change. I wanted to experience something new and different. And Amsterdam was one of my favorite city back then. It still is now. And I decided to take this opportunity, and I went there and I worked for someone who owns 5 practices. And the reason that I went there is also because I wanted to learn from someone who knows how to do the business. Because in school, we're not taught too much the business part of chiropractic practice. And I think it's key because, I mean, if you go out and you start your own practice like Audrey did, it's a lot of hard work and you need to know stuff. So you can start like she did and learn from your own mistakes, or like me, you can do mistakes on the shoulders of others, and that's what I did. It was a great experience, in my opinion. I learned a lot, and I think everything is it's a good experience, whether you like it or not. Every experience teaches you something, and for me, it was exactly like this. After 1 year, I decided to come back to Barcelona because of some reason, some rainy reasons. I didn't like the weather and I didn't like the language too much. And I was missing Barcelona and my friends. And and when I came back, I didn't want to open. I felt I was ready to open myself, but I didn't want to because I was okay with the money, but I didn't want to start everything in a rush, and so I decided to work where I'm working now, which is a practice that is owned by a CA. So this practice was built like 20 years ago from an Australian chiropractor who moved back to Australia, and he sold the practice to the CA. And over the years, she's been hiring chiropractors. And I did a locum before moving to Holland there. And I liked well, I didn't like the city, but I liked the practice. And so I took it as an opportunity because she was looking for a chiropractor. And for me, it was not meaning any investment because I didn't have to buy benches or rent a space. And I was already starting from patient days, which was not what I was said before. It was a little bit less, but I think it's normal when there's a change in the when in the practice there's this energy where the CA knows that a new chiropractor is coming, and the other is not working properly. So of course the practice cannot grow, and the opposite happens. The practice numbers go down, and but I worked hard, and I've been working hard since, and it's been going really well. and I'm still there because then other things happen. I found a girlfriend who's also a chiropractor, and because we don't know exactly where we're gonna, well, we know where we want to go, and probably it's not in Barcelona, so I didn't open myself, and so I'm working now in this practice.
So for at the
I don't
time that you're at in your life, it's more suitable to have that kind of a position because of where you are.
have any responsibility. I'm not attached to the practice like Audrey is. Like it would be more difficult for her to move to another city or country
Yeah.
when you have your own business, especially if it's new and you started like 1 or 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm.
So for me, the position that I'm now, it's perfect because I could leave. I mean, of course, she won't. I would give her an
Yeah, have some notice.
notice, 2 months notice, but I'm not attached like very much.
Yeah.
So I could go wherever I want in a very short period of time.
All right. Audrey, you've got quite a different experience. You want to share a little bit about who you are and what you're up to?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Audrey. I'm French. I studied at the BCC with Alessandro, and I actually started with him. I graduated in July 2018, so it was almost 2 years ago. And 3 months later, I started my own practice. So in October 2018, I didn't know I wanted to open my own practice until like end of July, so after graduation. So I had like 2-3 months to open the practice, and I started from zero. I have to admit it was a lot of work. As Alessandro said, like when you start your practice, you have to know things about business, and if you don't, then you make mistakes. And I obviously made it, and I was aware of it. But I mean, both my parents are entrepreneurs, and both are like in business and stuff. So I had this background. I knew like it was the thing I was supposed to do. So I had that conviction. It was not like, well, maybe I will. It was like end of July, I was like, okay, I'm going to open my practice. I knew it. And I was so determined. So I did, and it's been 1.5 years, and it's great. Obviously, it's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's still a lot of work. As Alessandro said as well, when you start your own practice, you have to think that it might be maybe like 2, 3, 4 years before you can go to another country. But when I started it, I told myself, okay, so in 5 years, maybe I'll sell it and move to another country. So it's nothing like, it's not that when I did it, I knew I would do something else afterwards. Maybe move to another country, open another practice. Well, when you did it once, you can do it like 100 times. So yeah, I don't think it's a limitation for that. You just need to know that you have to be in the country for maybe 2 to 5 years, and then when you're well established, then you can sell the practice and move and do whatever you want. So yeah, it's a big investment in time, energy, and money, but it's definitely worth it. What you have to know as well is it's okay not to know how to do it. I mean, I learned on the go, so I made it, so it's possible. And what you have to know as well is that you're pretty much on your own. You have to do everything. So you have to have your support system on your side. So you have to have your family, you have to have your partner, your friends that are here to support you. You don't need negative energy around you. You need those pillars to be able to create this, and people to tell you it's okay, you're doing the right thing, you're gonna make it. This is so important.
All
So
right.
yeah, that's it.
We have some interesting questions sent in because when I said I was going to do this kind of format for a video, there's a lot of people interested in what all of you are doing. So we'll jump into that in a minute. All right, Samuel, what are you up to?
Cool. My name is Samuel Higgs. I'm a chiropractor from Australia, and I graduated in 2012. And pretty much immediately after graduation, I moved to Europe. So 2 months after graduation, and I didn't actually go directly into locuming. I worked as an associate in Tarragona for about 18 months or so. And then that ended quite abruptly. And I kind of fell into locum work because myself and my ex-girlfriend at the time wanted to go traveling for about a year. And I realized I had a year to save money, and to start as an associate or start my own office or something like that would take time to then have money to go traveling for a year. So I started working on locuming and contacting people that I knew, and almost, because in Europe there's not much of a locum scene, for lack of a bit of a word. In Australia and England and stuff like that, there is definitely more the culture of having a locum come in and cover for your office when you go away on holidays or something like that. But in Spain, definitely, a lot of people would just close their office for a week or two rather than have a locum. So just to focus on Spain wasn't going to be beneficial for me. So I kind of then looked at where I could communicate, which I speak English and Spanish, where I didn't have to do any more exams. So at the time, if I wanted to go to the UK, I'd have to take more exams. And basically, I would target those countries and started to just network and contact people and make my way into it. And then it started slowly, and then it kind of snowballed maybe after a year. And I ended up doing that for about 4 years. So I kind of probably had the same clients every year, maybe the same 3 or 4 people that would just have me on rotate. And I ended up working a lot in Ireland, a lot in Holland, probably spent most of my time in Holland, and then in Mallorca as well with Mark, which was quite regular by the end of it. So it afforded a lot of amazing experiences. And at the start of this year, I wanted to change, and I wanted to create my own community, and I opened my office 5 weeks before it got closed. So my office has been closed more than it's been open.
Where did you graduate from, Samuel?
From RMIT in Melbourne. Sorry, I didn't mention that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because we're all BCC. The first question, which I'll pose to all you, we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's get each of you to dive in a little bit deeper. And the first question is, why did you choose this path that you've gone on rather than another path? So what made you decide that you wanted to go down this route, Alessandro?
For me, it's different reasons. First, I wanted to go to Amsterdam, and because it was not a place that I saw myself there forever, I knew that it was gonna be like a 2-3 years experience. I decided to do as an associate chiropractor because, especially in a country where you don't speak the language, and especially when it's Dutch, you don't want to invest money, which I didn't have back then when you graduate. So I decided to work for someone, and I chose carefully who I was working for or with, because there are very many times chiropractors hires associate, and they take advantage of them, because if you work for someone, I think you need to find someone who you admire and who you wanna copy business wise, and advantages for you. Like, if you have to find your own patient, it's hard, because especially if you go somewhere where you're not from there. And for me, that was covered. Like, I started actually from scratch in the practice where I was working, but after 2 months we were already seeing many people, and for a new graduate. So for me, was a great experience. And and I learned a lot. The team was very united and committed, and everyone was on the same path and same mission. And talking to other friends, I consider myself lucky because other people who did this kind of associateship position, they found themselves in teams where there was problems within the team, and some people were towards one path and some other different one, and that comes out lately. And so it's important to, if you want to do an associate position, it's important to talk first everything and know exactly what you're being asked to do, what you'll have to do. And I think for a new graduate, the most important thing is to adjust and learn how to adjust and learn how to communicate with patients effectively. So I I looked a lot at that. Where can I go and learn how to adjust? So I see many people and learn the communication and the practice management and business side. So I decided to go to Holland to top Cairo.
All right. And Audrey, you touched on how both of your parents are entrepreneurs. So you were kind of not pushed into it, but it was just accepted that that's what you were going to do. You had that certainty. You want to talk a little bit about, did anything else cross your mind, or were you always just going to do that?
No, I didn't know until the end of July after graduation. So it was really stressful as well, fifth year, like not knowing what you will do. And I was trying not to put pressure on myself. So I decided to actually write what I didn't know before to know what I did want to do. So what I didn't want to do. So I didn't want, I did a lot of technique seminar in school and outside of school, and I was having so much fun in clinic. In BCC, they're pretty open, so you can. It was just a playground for me. So I already had my techniques and my protocols and stuff, and I knew that if I would go to a chiropractor as an associateship or whatever, they would tell me how to adjust. And I knew this would be so frustrating for me because I wanted to adjust my way. So yeah, this is the main reason why I didn't go for associateship or locum, even if I looked into it. And also because the opportunity for me didn't present itself. So I was just trusting the universe and saying, okay, if I really need to go somewhere, work as an associateship or locum, then it will present itself. But it didn't. And then after graduation, I was like, okay, it's obvious that I need to open my practice. And as I said, with my parents both being entrepreneurs, it was just so obvious. So I did.
All right. Awesome. What about you, Samuel?
Well, I'll focus on the locum stuff. As I mentioned, it was kind of circumstantial how I got into it, where it was just kind of a need, and there wasn't too many other opportunities. One of my first locum was with NHS in San Sebastian, and I think with locum work, it's really interesting. It gives you a lot, but it's also a little bit hollow with terms of chiropractic, because with chiropractic, we like to, help people. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And that does take time. It's principle number 6. Healing takes time. And often you go into an office and you spend 1 or 2 weeks or 2 months and you create these great bonds with people, but you don't actually get to follow through with their care. So it was wonderful in the sense that I had a lot of freedom, a lot of time off, and I got to see different places and I got to learn so many different things. But I definitely felt like I needed to now start creating my own community around me. And for me, I did learn a lot being in different offices. I would have worked in maybe 25 different offices with different people. And like what Audrey said is, when you go into an office for somebody else's office, it's a lot of trust and it's a lot of care, and it's very humbling for them to, hand over their baby to you. So the most important thing is that you leave your ego outside the door. When you walk in, it's not about me, it's about the practice member in front of me. So I need to be as much as Dr. Zadok as possible, even if it's things that I don't think, that I don't love, that I feel I could have something better for this person. I have to be Dr. Zadok. And that was really cool to learn different things as well. With Anna, my first locum was a toggle practice, which was amazing to experience. Coming from Australia, I hadn't experienced any of these types of things with the Titron scanning and stuff like that, and I absolutely loved it. But you do have to leave your ego at the door and be as much like the person as possible, because no matter how great adjuster you are, the practice member is used to Dr. Zadok. So even the slightest change in the slightest can actually flare them up a little bit, and they can be stiff and sore and stuff like that. So I would go and try and spend a day beforehand with the chiropractor, or a couple of days, and just try to be as much as them as possible. And it was incredible, because I did learn a lot, and it helped me, because I think a chiropractic office, if it's your own, should be an expression of you, whether it's the decor, the way you adjust, the way you are with people, the way you communicate. And it's almost like a dance when you're with your practice members. And by being in so many different offices, I picked up so many different things. And now creating my own office, it's definitely not easy, but it's so satisfying. And I love being able to express myself through my office. It's almost an extension of who I am. And that's really cool. And I did pick up a lot from all those different offices around the world. You know, some days I was working in Dutch, which my Dutch was horrible. Some days I was working in Spanish. Some days I was working in the north of Ireland, where I couldn't hardly understand what they were talking about. What your man means, I don't understand still to this day. But it was just really cool to see the different cultures and the different, the north of Holland was different to the north of Ireland, which is different to Mallorca, and the people were so different. And to be able to adapt, and you would have to adapt yourself to that situation as well. I did learn a lot through that, which was amazing.
Alessandro had some experience in Northern Ireland as well, right?
Same office, actually.
Yeah, thanks to Sam, because I did a locum for like 3 weeks in Ireland, and like he says, it's and I worked in Holland, and everywhere you go, people are different, but at the same time, people are the same in the sense that everyone has a spine, and as a chiropractor, we're lucky to work in such a profession that is universal, in the sense that everybody needs it and everybody can benefit from it. So it's a matter of adapting to the culture. But in the end, yeah, I agree with the fact that your practice is the reflection of yourself. And that's why, for instance, when I started as an associate, I was working and I was adjusting based on what they were telling me how to adjust, following a specific technique, which I liked. So it was not a problem for me. We were using the Thompson protocol, and I was okay with that. But now, in the practice where I am, that I'm the only chiropractor, I decide to work as I want. So it was my practice, because I decided the technique that I want to use. I decided what kind of marketing we want to do, and so I have a lot of freedom in that sense.
And for each of you, there'll be different challenges that came up. What would be, like, just very quick, what would be some challenges that maybe if you were doing it again that you would warn someone about for each of those different routes?
Was the adaptation to Northern Europe culture, being Italian and having lived in Spain for now 8 years. It takes time to adapt, especially for the language. Sam knows about what I'm talking about. And where I was working, I had to learn Dutch. So, and some parts of the day-to-day, like the first visit, the report of finding, I had to do it in Dutch. It's also true that I had a lot of, I was not pushed to learn it fast, but at the same time, we have to do an exam after 6 months. So I had to put the work into it. And challenge, I would say. Generally, I'm pretty adaptable, but for me, like adapting to a different culture like that was the biggest challenge.
And Audrey, I know you're really going to have to struggle to think of some challenges, but if you can dig deep in there, maybe you
I have
can
many.
maybe you can give someone a pearl of wisdom of a challenge you faced when starting a brand new practice.
So the first one is that you have to do everything. So basically, you're not only the chiropractor, you're the CA, you're the cleaning lady, you're the accountant, like you're the designer for the practice. You're basically doing everything. So it's a lot of work, and it's not the same amount of income that you get the first year as if you're working for an associateship or whatever. So I mean, if you're looking for making money at the beginning, and if you need money after graduating and stuff, I would definitely recommend doing associateship or locum. But then it gets better, obviously, and then it's worth it after the first year. But the first year is a lot of work, a lot of stress, and so you need those pillars, and it's also not much income at the beginning compared to other like associateship or locuming.
All right.
My probably would be what I just mentioned with the ego kind of thing is any advice to anybody trying to do locum work. And also it is quite difficult in Europe nowadays because Holland's changed quite a lot, where you have to take the Dutch exam to actually work there. In Europe, it is quite difficult to find people who are open to locums. And they have to really trust you because it is a big step. But yeah, definitely with locum work, try and get there and observe the office, and definitely leave your ego at the door, because even if you think that this type of adjustment might be better for the person, you have to just be as similar to the person before you as possible in the way that you talk, the way you adjust, and everything, because their practice is their baby. So you got to treat it like that.
All right, cool. Question free. If you could time travel back to your graduation day and you've got 1 minute to give a piece of advice to yourself on graduation day, what would you say?
When we are students, many students think that when you go out, you have everything in front of you. Like you're gonna make a lot of money. You just show up and adjust, and it's gonna be easy. But it's not like that, and you need to work hard. Whether you open a practice or even whether you're an associate, I mean, you need to be open to learn and to and adapt to whatever your owner or boss tells you to work, and but it pays off. I mean, I wouldn't change my profession with anything else. And for me and for all of you, I don't think it's a job, because I go to work and I have a lot of fun. And that happened in Holland, that is happening here. And there are challenges that you face through your days, but I just love it. And it's an opportunity for you to learn and grow and evolve as a human being. And I think our profession, it's a reflection, like every challenge that you face and everything that you learn is applicable to every aspect of your life. And that's about living from the inside, our paradigm. So yeah, I would say in a few words is hustle and work hard, and everything is going to pay off.
Nice. All right, Audrey, you have the floor.
Well, I really thought about this question. I realized I wouldn't change a thing, or I don't know like what I would tell myself. The only like advice I would give myself is trust yourself, and everything will be all right. Take care of yourself, and this will take care of itself. So just trust your gut, trust your instinct. Do what you have to do, and that's it.
All right.
I don't know. I don't probably know I'd give myself any advice. Maybe just that the learning kind of starts now. I wouldn't change anything in my past, because everything that happens in our life brings us to this moment in time. And whilst outside is not the most exciting at the moment, I love my life, and everything that has happened in my life has brought me to here. And that includes everything within chiropractic, which has helped me to understand life a lot better. So I wouldn't give myself too much advice, because I wouldn't change anything, I guess. Maybe just say, yeah, here comes the learning now. Brace yourself.
All right. Awesome. Great stuff. Well, that's a couple of questions answered. I think that's going to give people a lot of value. So thank you guys for jumping on. And yeah, for that
Can
one,
I just add,
huh?
because what Audrey and Sam says, I think it's very important. And another advice that I would give myself and every student that graduate is never.
Repeat that, sorry, because we lost you there. Repeat that.
I was saying, never stop working on yourself. In order for us to be great chiropractors and help other people heal, we need to heal ourselves first. So we need to be aligned, and we need to prepare ourselves physically and mentally, because and we learn this from all the, it's like we're top athletes, and we need to take care of our body, our mind, and our spirit, and that requires work, and it's daily work. And so for me, one thing that completely changed my life in every aspect was doing a morning routine of meditation, breath work, some movement. And because when you start your morning right, then everything else gets better. So
yeah,
and you cannot go to work and not be present and focus 100% every time. So it takes work.
Win the morning, win the day. Now we're going to fly through a quick Q&A. I want to be respectful of your time, but these are some questions that some students have sent in, some for all of you, some for individual ones of you. So the general Q&A is, how many hours a week were you expected to work with your choice?
I was my timetable was Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. So I was working 3 days a week, which was great. And it was 7 hours a day. So I was working 3 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the afternoon.
And was that just you show up, you adjust, you go home, or are you doing outside marketing and stuff for the practice, or that's it?
No, I was showing up, doing first visits, report of findings, and adjustments.
Nice.
Being in a team with other practices, sometimes I was locuming for other chiropractors of my team. So I was open to that. So in some days I had to work another day, which was good for me because I was per made. So the more work.
I bet you were the same, Audrey, just 3 days a week.
Yeah, right. No, when I started, so officially I was working maybe 10 to 15 hours, but it was the adjusting time. And obviously people would tell me, so you only work 15 hours? I'm like, no, not at all. Unofficially it was more like 50 hours a week. I was even working on the weekends, so it's not adjusting. It was maybe on the weekends I would work on the paperwork or do screenings. There is like tons of things to do, and even sometimes if I wasn't working on the weekends I would feel guilty, so you have to be careful of that. You have to manage yourself, and I think we'll talk about this later on because it's one of the questions.
It's been a year, Audrey. Are you still clocking up those hours, or did it calm down now? Do you have
No, less, especially because I took on a CA, so she's doing the work I don't want to do anymore. And I'm still, I mean, now in this quarantine I've been doing a lot of work on the practice, but it's definitely not the same. And on the weekends I'm more enjoying myself, and it's, I swear, like it's another life. And it's just, I think when you open your practice the first year you have to put the work on it, and it's just the way it is. Like if you want it to work and to have success and to have people coming in, you can't just work your 15 hours and go home and do nothing, you know. It's just it is what it is, and then you will be rewarded.
Cool. What about you, Samuel?
It would always depend on the office that you're in, and one thing you have to always be mindful of is that you do have to talk numbers, and you have to talk at the start with the chiropractor who's going away, how many people you think you're going to see. You talk about fees and stuff like that, and 9 times out of 10 it's going to be a lot less. And it's not because that chiropractor is trying to trick you or anything like that. It's just a lot of people will wait for the chiropractor to come back. So what I would try and do is to compress the hours a little bit and adapt the schedule a little bit, because we know that we're not going to see the same amount of people. But I did locums for 4 months, and I did locums for 4 hours as well. So it would all depend on the office that you're covering. In the longer ones, I would go out and do I would be growing the practice. So I would go and do health talks and stuff that resonated with me. I don't like to do spinal screenings at all. So I go do health talks and do the marketing side of things as well, do talks within the office. But it's really just dependent on what the office protocols are. In Holland, the offices are definitely open longer than they are in Spain, as in more hours. And that's the same in Ireland as well. You'll be very rare to find a chiropractor working on Friday in Spain.
All right. Obviously, with this question, we can't go into too much detail. Like, I'm not going to ask you to get your bank statements out, but just to give people that are thinking about this whenever they're coming up to graduation, to give them a general idea, right? Do you feel that you were compensated well in your time as an associate, a business owner, or a locum?
I think I was, because I had a good percentage, and the main thing is I didn't have to find my own patient. So and my job was doing day 2 and get them people to sign and then just leadership position. If you find your own patient, and plus you're getting paid like let's say 30%. I mean, it's not spoken everything before.
All right. And Audrey?
Can I laugh? So in the first year, definitely not. I mean, as I said, it's a lot of energy, time, and money, and you work a lot, and it's hard. But I mean, like now I'm definitely enjoying it more financially, apart from speaking with from the COVID-19. But it's worth it after the first year. So as I was saying before, I mean, like, if what you want to do is make money out of school, don't start your own practice right away. Make some money aside, make some savings, work for someone that is great, as Alessandro did, or as Sam did with locuming. I mean, you'll definitely earn more money, but after the first year, then it's getting better and you get what you deserve. So yeah.
I think with my associate position, I definitely got compensated quite well. I was very happy with the way that he took care of me. And with locuming, you can make, depending on the practice and depending on the culture and the percentage and all that sort of stuff, you can make really good money. That's the truth. However, it's so unstable. You can work for a month flat out, and then you can have maybe 5 weeks where you don't work anything, or you can have something planned and something falls through. But within that unknown, a lot of magic can happen as well, because you can get, it's really cool when you have people start contacting you from here or from there or from here, and you know that you're creating that through how you're treating yourself, basically. But you can definitely make good money depending on the practice, really good money, but it's not stable at all. Like I said, I think the maximum amount that I worked, which is still great, was 8 months throughout the year.
Okay. This next question makes more sense from hearing some of the things that you guys have said. So for you, Samuel, like you said that you really wanted to travel, that traveling was high on your values, whereas maybe the other two, you guys wanted more like the security. And with Audrey especially, you knew that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. But maybe we can just discuss it in a little bit more detail. This next question is, do you consider that with your choice that you're serving your own personal purpose?
Has to find his own purpose and define it. And with my purpose now than when I was after I graduated, of course. And because I'm working the way I want to work completely, and I have a lot of freedom in the way I adjust, in the way I speak, in the way I organize, from the moment the patient enters the door to the care plan. So I have a lot of freedom. So I think now I'm enjoying fully my purpose, which is to become proactive with their life and live a kind of lifestyle. And before, in a bigger team, I had to adapt myself and I had to follow some rules. I was
All right, Audrey.
Well, for me, my purpose when I started was to see a lot of babies, kids, pregnant ladies, and see a lot of families, adjust them. For me, like, chiropractic changed my life, but not only me, but especially the relationship within my family, my mom, my dad, my brothers, everything changed. So for me, it was really that vision, and it's definitely like it's happening. So I'm so happy about that, especially now that I have the CA, because I can really focus on just doing what I do best, which is adjusting and not thinking about appointments, payments, and stuff like that. So definitely.
All right.
I think for me, like, throughout life, we go through so many different phases, and our purpose changes, but the kind of core belief systems don't. And there'll be two constants in the rest of my life, and that'll be my family and chiropractic. And the beautiful thing about chiropractic is it can be done in so many different ways, and you can adapt that to who you are in that moment in time. You can be a lecturer, you can be a clinician, you can do locum, you can have your own practice, you can be an associate, or whatever it might be. And at that phase in my life, being a locum definitely served my purpose, in that I could have a lot of freedom and have a lot of life experiences whilst practicing chiropractic. But it got to a point where I did feel quite hollow with what I was doing, not being able to follow through with the care, not being able to have my own people and create my own community. And it's really easy to connect with people quickly, but then that connection goes. Luckily with my locums, I was coming back quite regularly so I could see people again. But I definitely started to feel that I was missing that aspect of chiropractic, which it's why we do chiropractic, is to help people. And as I said earlier, it does take time. And that's definitely why a big reason why I did change is I wanted to have that purpose where I could create the people, the community around me, that we all evolve and we all heal together, we all move forward together. And yeah, so I definitely think locum serve the purpose in my life. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's cool for students heading towards the end to consider what are their values. So they might value security a lot more than traveling. So obviously then you would want to be either a business owner or an associate, but maybe you're at a time in your life where you really aren't worried about money at all and you want to go out and you want to experience, and maybe you like that kind of flying by the seat of your pants. I don't know which country I'm going to be in next month. Some people would thrive off that. Me personally, I think, although I don't want to just completely settle down and practice straight away, I would prefer to have the security of being an associate. I know I'm going to make money. I know I've got that security. Maybe locum a while, maybe locum for like during a summer or something like this, but it's certainly not what I would want to do long term. But I can see why some people would want to travel. So I think it's important for people to sit down and actually ask themselves what their values are before they go down that route. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just think that if you want security, you shouldn't open your own practice.
You shouldn't.
No, because security is also stability, right? So if you want to have security, you shouldn't open your practice, because sometimes you lose money or you get great money, but it's the first year is really not about security. It's definitely not. So I wouldn't recommend to someone that wants security.
Okay, nice
Good luck, Sam.
perspective. Yeah, I guess by security, the way I'm thinking about it is more like being in one place.
Okay.
And I know where I live. I know, I've got my rent. I've got blah, 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 that. Whereas, yeah, you're right. If you're talking about financial security, the first year, you're kind of, your whole goal is you're building towards financial security, but you're going to have to work hard for a couple of years beforehand. This next questions are specifically for you, Audrey. So it says, what do you wish that you'd spent more time on in school?
So there is one thing I really regret is not working as a CA. I think you get an amazing experience working as a CA. You know how a consulta runs, a practice runs. Maybe you learn about finances, accounting. You learn how to process with people, communication, protocols, procedures. You learn a lot, and I didn't, and I really regret it, because I think it would have been like an amazing experience and added value for me to start a practice knowing how it actually works behind the curtains. And maybe the second thing would be I really regret, and I think it's something that chiropractic school, at least in BCC, we are missing a lot of communication and marketing skills and classes. So we did have management classes, which was awesome. But we don't learn how to communicate to people, this is so important. How do you want to open your practice and communicate chiropractic if you don't know how to? And marketing is basis. I mean, it's so important. And I think even if it wasn't at school, I should have started to do seminars on the sites, but I did learn on the way, so that's it. But if you're planning on opening your practice and you're still a student, definitely do.
Okay. And with regards to the communication, and this is open to all of you, not just Audrey, like what do you think they should be doing in school if they don't feel they're getting the communication? What route can we take to get better communication so that we're more prepared when we graduate?
There's there's Toastmasters. I think is a really great. It's an international kind of group, which is just basically learning how to speak in public. And if you can speak in public, that was never something I was shy to do. But they also give you cues on how to communicate with your body, with body language and all that sort of stuff. So if you can speak in public, you can communicate with somebody and get to their values one-on-one. And that's something that's done quite regularly. But then there are other communication seminars, which I'm pretty sure Alessandro has done quite a few as well, no?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
For the moment.
I agree with what you say, Sam, that public speaking courses like Toastmasters are great. And I would add that there's a lot of books, and everyone can learn from books the basics of communication. Do specific courses based on the importance of communication. Saying a name, I would mention Martin Harvey. I've done some courses with him, and it's great. It has a lot of videos which are free to watch on Vimeo. And I mean, nowadays there's so much free stuff on YouTube and Vimeo that chiropractor can literally like learn many things for free now on this platform.
Audrey.
But getting back to your question, Zarek, that you said, well, what should we do? I think that in colleges there should be like hours per week on communication. And then each student has to work on themselves and master it by themselves, practicing it. So actually publicly speaking and stuff like that, which is scary, but you must do it.
Communication is it's not as, it's probably equally as important as being a good adjuster. If you can have those two things down. And what I saw, because Alessandro was working closely with the office that I had, I was in an associate position. And when Alessandro graduated, he was ready because he was doing so much work within communication as a CA. He'd done all the adjusting seminars and he was ready to go from day one, which makes him very, very employable. And it wasn't a coincidence that he went to Holland, a completely new culture where he knew no one, and he grew office quite quickly. Because if you can communicate to somebody's values, people are coming into your office, they want to know that you care, and they've had this problem for probably 10 years. What's changed at that time? So if we can get to the why, then the what and the how becomes a lot more simple. So if you can communicate effectively, and then you can actually deliver the goods and create an unforgettable healing experience, and those people are going to want to come back for that experience. If you go to a cafe and every time you go there, they say, "Hey, Zadak, I'll get you a double cortado now." Every time you're going to come back. Maybe the coffee's not as good as down the road as well, but because you've created a communicative experience, you're going to remember that and you're going to come back for that. And that's so unique within any kind of health profession these days. And that's what people love. They love the human aspect of chiropractic.
All right. Great stuff, guys. Audrey, you're going to get the Excel spreadsheet now and show us all. What were the startup costs and how did you finance it?
So I got a personal loan from France because in Spain it was impossible to get it because I never worked in Spain before, and my only guarantee was my parents who were in France. So basically I was really, really lucky to meet actually randomly with my banker in France, and I told him my project and he was like, okay, I'm going to get you a personal loan. And I got it and it was great. The only thing, so I asked for 28,000 euros. So I planned on a Excel sheet everything I had to buy. I planned everything, and I added 5,000 euros of cash flow, because you don't want to start thinking like I need money. So you need that extra money on your bank account start your practice, and you're not in that place of I need them, but they need me, you know, and you're more secure. Even if at the first months you're not making even, then you're like, okay, it's okay, I still have money on my bank accounts. So this is so important. So to resume, I used 9,000 euros from my own pocket because I didn't have the loan yet to get the practice, the place, the location, because it was 1 month of rent, 2 months of fianza. How do you say fianza? 2 months
Finance.
of yeah, maybe.
Front.
Well, okay. And 2 months of guarantee, and to pay the agency fees as well. So it was 9,000 in total. It was huge. Then I got the loan, and I used 14,000 euros to get the furniture, to get the tables, to get everything. So it was a total of 23,000 euros more or less I've spent. And then I had that extra 5,000 euros of cash flow, and that extra 9,000 euros of other cash flow that I was saving before opening my practice. So what I would recommend as well is start saving money. And also it's so complicated to get a loan for your business. It's crazy. You have to create a business plan. Like I graduated and I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm a chiropractor and they want me to build a business plan. So I had to learn how to do it, and it worked. So yeah.
And I've seen your space, and it's a really nice space. Like, everything just looks immaculate, but you kind of took out the loan and then built like your ideal perfect clinic. Would you recommend other people to do that? Or would you recommend, for instance, I've seen chiropractors that they start off somewhere small and maybe they don't use loads of benches. Maybe they just get 1 or 2, or even using portable benches. And then as you get more patients, you build up and up and up. What are your thoughts?
Well, it depends. If you want to start a bit bigger, or you can start small. It depends if you get a loan. It depends on your money. It depends on a lot of stuff. It depends what you want. But yeah, it's more challenging to do what I did. Then I think if you want more security and stuff, you should start by, and it's easier, and it's better, I think. Start in a small space, or rent a room somewhere and start getting people, and then when you get enough people, then you move into the space that you want. But then I know that some chiropractors, when they have this transition of going from the small place to the bigger space, sometimes it takes them time and courage to do it. So sometimes it's also better to just jump on it and do great, and go for the bigger goal, like not dream small but dream big. And so it depends.
For the big question, for our associate and our locum, how did you guys negotiate a salary?
The first associateship, it was pretty set. And because it was a good percentage, I actually, I didn't try to ask for more, because it was very well explained in the first moment that the percentage was that like 50%. And for me, consider all the things that they were giving me, like the patient and everything, and the things that I had to do, I found it really valuable and a great offer for a new graduate. But then in the second where I'm now, in the second associateship, because I'm the only chiropractor, I started with a percentage, and based on my work, and the numbers, it was getting up, and now I've been I've had an improvement in the percentage rate. So when you start to not be taken advantage of with a low percentage, but at the same time, you're not in the position to ask for a lot when you've done nothing. So you need to be humble, and you need to show that you're worth what you want.
Okay.
With locuming as well, it's very different in every culture, and you almost have to respect that too. I know in England it's quite common for it to be kind of 50% and expenses paid. In Spain, it's totally different. I think it's like 10 euros an adjustment. And the pricing is different everywhere as well. So in Holland, it was like 55 euros an adjustment, Alessandro, or something like that.
Yeah.
Here in Spain, it's about 40 euros. In Ireland, Zarak, I think it's about 50 euros or 45 euros. So everybody was kind of different. And also, generally, the people that would contact me have already been having locums for years, just different kind of locums. And they would say, well, this is what we would pay. So I'd start off at one, and then we just kind of work out through there. An important thing for me, and I know people that were very, okay, these are my locum rules, because they had a lot of demand. Doing around Europe, there's not a lot of demand. In the UK, there is, but they would be like, okay, I'm 50%. This is my retainer. That have a retainer of X amount of euros or X amount of pounds per week. This is and then you have to sign it and all that sort of stuff. So it took me a little while to create a contract. I was a little bit flippant within that, and probably trusted a little bit too much, and then had some experiences that didn't kind of meet my expectations, or what I was told. So in areas, I'd start with 1%, but then they would have to supply me, depending on how long I was there for, they have to supply me with accommodation. And that accommodation could not be a hotel, because I want to be able to cook and clean, all that sort of stuff. It would have to be central. If I had to drive, they would have to supply me with a car. So that could be their car, or rent me a car. And I paid for the flights pretty much generally all the time. And you just kind of respect the cultures, what's been there before you. I wasn't too money driven, or this is very, very strict, but I did bring in a retainer probably after my second year, because I had some experiences where people really was a huge difference to what they told me to when I went to the office. So yeah.
I never would have thought about that, like the flights, or the are you going to supply me with a car, or are you going to put me in a hotel? I've only ever thought about it as you just jump into the clinic and start adjusting. I never would have considered that. It didn't come to my mind at all.
Yeah.
What for Samuel and Alessandro, what are you glad that you did in school that made it easier for you whenever you graduated and got out?
Sam mentioned it before. I was very lucky to start working in a practice after my first year in college as a CA. And for me, that was probably the best experience that I could have during the years of college, because you learn the basis at school, but then you need to experience it in the real life. So working and seeing patient every day, I was doing basically the technical part of the CA. So I was doing like part of the first visit. I was doing revisions, part of the report of findings. I was doing health talks, and that prepared me for what I'm doing now in a completely most advanced manner.
I think for me, in Australia, as students, we went from memory, like this is back a little while now, we weren't allowed to do technique seminars and stuff like that because we're students, which is incredible. But so I couldn't particularly do what Alessandro and Audrey and what you're doing, Zarak, and hone my skills. But I did start practicing on my family members from quite a young age. But I definitely, working as a CA was awesome. I wasn't full time, but it did give me a different aspect, and just to be around everything, you know. Another one was I got a really good study group. I was not the most academic. I focused a lot more on sport. But I decided after third year I needed a new study group, and it was myself, another buddy, and 3 girls. And the girls really kept this kind of, it's like studying with guys. The girls would just be like, okay, guys, you got to stop talking with studying. And we had a really wonderful dynamic, and really made, because, those study periods, 2 weeks with 14 exams or whatever, it's just incredible. So that definitely got me through it. And also another thing which is really cool is, as students, we tend to place chiropractors on a pedestal, and we look at them like, oh my God. And when you're going to go for a job interview, they're going to ask you to adjust them, and you're going to be as nervous as all hell. So from about 3rd or 4th year, whenever I would go and observe somebody, I'd just say, hey, can I adjust you? And I was nervous, and I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to be judging me. But as a chiropractor, we're never ever, some chiropractors might not want you to either. That's fine. But we're never ever judging, and we can give some actual feedback as well. So definitely get your hands on people who have been doing it for years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I remember one time being at a seminar in Cork, and Stu Bittman asked me to adjust them, and I shit myself, and I was like, nope, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. To be fair, I was in 3rd year. I'd only just started 3rd year, so it wasn't.
Wow.
Today I would maybe attempt it. No, I think I would do it. I would do it. But back then I was like, no, thank you. That's too much.
Yeah,
pressure.
I just graduated, and I was at Cairo, Europe. It was April, and I hadn't worked as a chiropractor yet, and it was the first time I'd been exposed to Stu, and he was talking, and I was just like, I love this guy so much, and I had this voice in my head. I was like, you got to go adjust him. I was like, okay, because he just mentioned in his talk, I just got here from 30 hours, nobody's adjusted me, and then this voice in my head is like, you got to go adjust him. So straight away I went up to him afterwards. I'd love to take care of you and adjust you. And like, I was nervous, but every time I see him now, he's like, you've got to adjust me. You've got to adjust me. So it's been a really cool thing that we've formed together.
That's awesome, man. All right, we've got through our questions, guys. Thank you so much. If anyone has any closing thoughts, anything that you want to wrap up with, jump in.
For me, I think it's important, if you're opening your practice, to take care of yourself. I just wanted to end up with it, that you need this support system. My boyfriend is a chiropractor, so that helped a lot. He was here with the ups and downs, and he knew how to handle it and manage it and help me. It's also important in the first year, even if you don't want to take holidays or time off, you really need them. Even if it's work, you need to disconnect, because at first I had my personal phone was also my business phone, so it was messages all over the place every time. It was really stressful, so you really need those time to disconnect, to reconnect, and as Alessandro said, do your running routine, take care of yourself, do workouts, sports, visualize, meditate. It's so important.
As you possibly can in the quickest way. If you're going to do an associateship or a locum position, before opening your own practice, the more mistakes you make, the more and faster you learn. That's my.
I think for locum stuff, it looks incredible, and the idea is amazing, but to get started is really, really hard. And you almost reach a tipping point, and then it becomes easy. But it's not just a matter of walking out and then everyone's going to want you to come and cover in their office, especially as a new grad, because potentially you haven't done the work in school, and then you're going to go and take care of these people's family, So it does look a lot easier than what it is, but it's extremely hard. A great place to start would be with your chiropractor who you work with, or who you get adjusted by, or who you do CA with. Just say to them, I'd love to spend time with your people for a week or two afterwards. So it looks great and easy and everything, but it took me about a year to actually really set it up.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. I think this is going to help a lot of people.
Thank you, Zarek.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Bye.
See you guys.